The United States men's national team returned to the Olympics with a 3-0 loss to France. It sucks. I mean, the last time we played in the Olympics was all the way back in 2008, and we definitely did not want to return with a 3-0 loss. But at the same time, this was a game against a very tough opponent, France, and the result is not a fair representation of how we played. I don't think we were that bad. We also weren't great, just to make that clear. So what did we learn? Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to the 7 Things We Learned series, where every single day following a United States men's national team match, we tell you 7 things that we learned. With that said, there is definitely more than 7 lessons, so you tell me in the comment section down below. What did you learn from United States 0, France 3. And in the process, make sure to drop a like if you haven't already. It's a great way to help the channel for free. So do it right now. Like, I'm waiting. I'm staring at you right now. Hit the like button if you haven't. And if you want to support the channel, you can join our Patreon. The link is in the description. So why don't we just roll the episode? Lesson number 1 is that it's not all doom and gloom. We're going to go through some positives throughout this video and some negatives. Here's the first thing. Before this game even started, I don't think any of us were expecting the US men's national team to defeat France, and we lost. The only bad thing about this defeat was that we lost 3-0. It should have been 1 or 2 goal differential. That would have been fine. Now losing by 3 goals makes me believe that we will not qualify with 4 points. We're going to have to beat the next 2 opponents we have to face, which are New Zealand and Guinea, which, by the way, I watched their game, and they're not that good. We could beat both of these opponents if we get the tactics right, if the mentality is right, and the players bring their A game, and Mitrovic also doesn't start a few guys like Mahovic, Duncan Maguire. Miles Robinson was also ass, not very good, but we'll talk about that in other lessons. But my overall point in lesson number 1 is it's not all doom and gloom. We can, and we likely will. I mean, I'm not going to say likely. We could still get grouped again this summer, but I think we will still get out of this group. Remember, we weren't expected to beat France. We weren't expected to tie France. We lost, as expected. All right, now we're off to lesson number 2. And for the past 7 to 10 days, it's been speculated that Thierry Henry is a possible candidate to coach the U.S. men's national team. It's even been said by a few pundits or former players like Charlie Davies that Henry is actually a perfect fit. Maybe not Charlie Davies' number 1 coaching option, but he definitely named it as a good hire. Now, I don't know what metrics Charlie Davies was using. I don't know why he would say that, but I just want to say this once again. If you didn't know based off his work with Monaco, now you know based off his work with France. In this game, maybe the biggest takeaway I had from this game is that Thierry Henry 100% should not be a candidate to coach the U.S. men's national team. He cannot be the next coach for the United States men's national team. Brilliant player, world-class player during his time. Now he's retired, obviously. Most certainly not a world-class coach. Not even an elite coach. Probably not even a good coach. And understand that the talent gap between this American team and the French team is quite big. The French team is far better. It's more talented, but they looked disjointed. Some players like Olise were misused, and he got bailed out. Henry got bailed out by luck and talent. He essentially relied on 2 long shots, one that Schulte failed and the other one that deflected to pretty much win this game. Right? The French players were better and they capitalized off our mistakes. That is the main reason. Mitrovic literally outcoached Henry for a good 60 minutes. The way he set up the US men's national team with that mid-block completely neutralized them, and Henry had no response to it. Besides France trying long shots, I would even argue despite having less ball possession, the US outplayed France for a good 60 minutes. We created better goal-scoring opportunities. Mitrovic didn't put a perfect starting 11, but the tactics were right. Henry couldn't adjust. He couldn't figure it out, couldn't get anything done, just relied on long shots. Mitrovic set up the team to succeed, and Mitrovic might not even be a good coach. We're not sure. While Henry set up his team to fail. Once again, brilliant player, not such a great coach. And sometimes these brilliant players, they get a lot of head coaching opportunities because of the player that they were and not because of the coach that they are. and that's Henry. He should not be a U.S. men's national team head coach candidate. It doesn't matter what Charlie Davies thinks. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. He's not good by any metric as a coach. And before we move on to lesson number 3, just one thing to make it very clear right here. This French team could win the gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal. They should. They're playing at home, and they have the most talented roster. So even if Henry pulls a medal in the Olympics, this doesn't change the way we see him in the big picture. Okay, just to make that clear. Just like Berhalter won the Gold Cup and won Nations League. With the U.S. men's national team talent, you were expected to do that. So that said, lesson number 3 is that Djordje Mihailovic was a waste of a roster spot. But not just a waste of a roster spot, a waste of an over the age limit player roster spot. Understand, you could have brought Diego Luna instead of Mihailovic, and Diego Luna would have done the same amount of work as Mihailovic, probably better. Diego Luna is probably a better player, more creative, something we needed down the middle. We needed some creativity, and we didn't have it. That was a major issue with this team. And if you didn't bring Mihailovic, you could have brought another overage player. Maybe a center forward, Brendan Vasquez, Pefok, try to invite him. He would be better than Duncan Maguire, whether you like Pefok or not. Try to get Josh Sargent. There are multiple other options, even if it was another midfielder or winger. The overall point here is Mihailovic should have not been in this roster regardless, but he's here, and if Mitrovic still wants to do the right thing, he will bench Mihailovic against New Zealand because that performance was horrible, despite that brilliant shot that he had. But that's one moment. The overall performance from Mihailovic was terrible. The set pieces, the first touch, everything. He was supposed to be like the veteran presence in the midfield to control the tempo, and he wasn't doing any of that. Tessman and Buso were the best players in the midfield. With that said, everyone, before we continue to lesson number 4, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, Underdog Fantasy. If you want to play, the link is in the description. We'll be back in a minute, and while you wait, drop a like in this video and comment, what did you learn from United States 0, France 3? Underdog Fantasy is a fun game to play prior to any soccer match, or basketball, football as well. You know, it just adds an extra excitement to the game. And this summer, I will be playing Underdog Fantasy during the Copa America and Euros. You can download the app by using the link in the description of this video and use the promo code TMTV. Yes, please, don't forget to use the code. And let me tell you why. Sign up with the code TMTV to claim your special pick plus a first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. The game I mainly play is called Pick'em. I just click on it, scroll to the soccer section, and pick a player for the specific match and select the stats that I believe will be lower or higher. It's very easy to play, but be smart about it because it's not that easy to win. I'll also be playing some Underdog Fantasy during some match live streams during the Copa America and Olympics, posting my picks on X and Instagram, so you must stay tuned for that as well. And once again, I'm a professional hater, so usually I pick anything that will have me rooting for the downfall of that player. With that said, once again, thank you Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the channel. The link to play is in the description of this video, and the promo code once again is TMTV. Thank you Underdog Fantasy. Okay, we are back, and hopefully you already smashed the like button in the meantime. So what is lesson number 4? Lesson number 4, and hear me out, okay, because you're going to think this is a bit weird. I think Tenor Tessman is a center back. And I know you're going to say, well, he played well as a central defensive midfielder in the Serie B, and he played as a midfielder against France, and he did fine. Some will say even played well. I thought he did fine. But I think he is actually a center back. Let me explain. Okay, one thing I noticed from Tenor Tessman is he's very slow on the turn, when he has to turn with or without the ball. As a center back, you don't have to do that in tight spaces. You don't have to turn with the ball in tight spaces. You don't have to be so quick with it. And without the ball, it's not good to be slow on the turn, but you can compensate for it with your positioning and anticipation, which, by the way, he showed in this game with his interceptions that his positioning and anticipation, they're all really good. He's also athletic, good in the air. He has good passing range. So again, he can be a ball-playing defender. He can hit those long balls. I'm just saying, I think someone should test him out as a center back. And it could be just me being crazy. But once again, until I see it, I will die on this hill. Until I see him flop as a center back, I will die on this hill. I think Tenor Tessman is better suited to play as a center back. And at some point, either Venezia or wherever he plays, or even the national team, we should test that. In a friendly, of course, not a competitive game. Lesson number 5 is because we lost by 3 goals, Saturday's game is a must win against New Zealand. Now understand, if we had lost by just 1 goal, it would still kind of be a must win, but we could still go for the draw and then win the last game, and we would qualify with 4 points. But since we conceded 3 goals and scored none, and we're in a -3 goal differential, qualifying with 4 points will be tough, unless France obliterates New Zealand and Guinea. But you can't count on that, especially the way France played against the US. They didn't play well. So my overall point here, it's pretty much a knockout round on Saturday against New Zealand. If we lose, we're done, because then New Zealand goes to 6 points and France will go probably to 4 or 6. They're not going to lose to Guinea, so we're out if we lose. If we tie, we go to the last game against Guinea, hoping France defeats New Zealand, and we would have to defeat Guinea and pass New Zealand on a goal differential. So once again, Saturday is almost win or go home. Lesson number 6 is that every single concern that I pointed out that I had before the Olympics, when we did the roster breakdown, the Olympic preview, they're still there, and they are. One is depth. So for this game, we actually had some good players coming off the bench, like Taylor Booth. Griffin Yao actually looked good, so we had some options, right? But these players should be starting over players like Duncan Maguire, Mahovic, which means if they start and those players go to the bench, we don't really have much of a game changer or game changers off the bench, right? And center back, if Miles is playing like crap, is Dietz really going to solve it? If Harrio gets a red card or Harrio plays poorly, we don't have a right back. Depth is a big issue. The other concern I had was creativity, right? And clearly we didn't have it in this game. We got a few good chances off crosses and then a moment where Paxton Harrison just cut inside and got a shot. But we didn't really have a creator with Jordi Mihailovic. And I don't think we will have any player that can do that. Maybe Taylor Booth or Paxton Harrison. Mihailovic is the worst one of those 3. But we'll see. Last but not least, where will the goals come from? Who's going to score them? It doesn't seem like we have legitimate goal scorers. We could very easily not score against New Zealand and not score against Guinea. We could have 0-0 draws. So my question before the Olympics was that, where will the goals come from? And it remains the same. Like what? It's just going to be Kevin Paredes crossing to, what was it, John Tolkien and Paxton Harrison to try to score headers? Or Paxton Harrison trying to cut inside and get a shot? Because besides that, we didn't really create much. Where are the goals going to come from? I am very concerned about that. Because when we play New Zealand and Guinea, it's a bit different than when we played France. Against those teams, we'll have to take the initiative. That's a completely different ball game. So even though we played well against France, it doesn't mean we're going to play well against Guinea and New Zealand, where we have to be the protagonist. We have to create. Against France, the standard was lower. Like, we just had to try to get any chance we could and try to contain them. We can't just contain New Zealand and Guinea. We have to create and we have to score. And then once again, I ask you for probably the 5th time in this video, where the heck are the goals going to come from? Lesson number 7, and I want to end on a positive note, because this team showed a few things that the U.S. men's national team roster we had with Berhalter in the Copa America did not show. These guys showed passion, grit, and a fight in them. By fight, I don't mean like Tim Weah, like literally punching a player, which is moronic. They had a fight. You could feel that they were playing for the country. I was proud of them, right? We lost 3-0, but I was proud of them. This team has an identity. They are fighting for the coach. They are fighting for the country, and they're doing their best. There's technical limitations. Sure, there's nothing those players can do about it. So the positive note here is I want to congratulate these players, because in that sense, the work rate, the grit, the fight, it was there. And that's something we didn't see in the Copa America of the U.S. men's national team, besides Tim Weah's boxing classes throughout the game against Panama. So once again, I applaud them for that. And I hope to see that against New Zealand, and I hope to see that against Guinea as well. And I really hope that this team advances out of the group stage. I just really think they deserve it. But again, you have to deserve it on the field. You have to win those games. So beat New Zealand and beat Guinea. Right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go. And if you want to join our Patreon, the link is in the description. And also, thank you very much, Underdog Fantasy, for sponsoring this video. Their link to play with the promo code is also in the description of this video. Now, I want to thank you very much for watching. I will see you on the next U.S. men's national team Olympic match this Saturday against New Zealand. We will be doing a live watch along. And I guess that's all. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.